shall we call it a balanced society in every respect, you know.
I'm not asking to be an agricultural minister or anything like this. You can keep me in the forces, but I mean detach me to mobilize the people all over the place. I mean, they say a hungry man is an angry man. The least you and I can do is to do something about their stomachs, you know? And you don't seem to see the priority. Now it's catching up with them.
Is it just...
There is something about military government that we all are not paying attention to. I'm talking of those who take or acquire power from certain governments without using the usual channel which is accepted in our democratic state. That's through election, but rather coup d'etat and other means. But before we have this conversation, let me show you guys the happenings that connected or led me to this particular topic at the end of the day. But before then, please help me share this video to get to those who are supposed to mind this particular business we are about to have a conversation on. I spotted illegal broad day robbing happening in Accra every single day. I mentioned legal because it seems authorities or law enforcers are quiet about this issue, but I don't really know whether they are aware or not. Initially, I was thinking it's just happening in some part of Accra until I went to Kumasi recently and discovered that it's everywhere. And this is the issue. When you come to Ghana, majority of us use the public transport system. That's, the buses and the trotros, because less of us have private cars to undertake our daily activities. So, like I said, majority of us are used to the normal transport system, which is the public one. And as we all know, the amount that one is supposed to pay is based on how far the person is going, which at the end of the day, they have come to a conclusion that, okay, when you are moving from Accra to Circle, is this amount. From Accra to Medina, this is the amount. But one thing that I spotted long time ago, but it's still happening as I'm speaking right now, that I call it a broad day legal robbing, is that from morning to the afternoon to somewhere in the evening, the drivers operate under the normal prices. But from somewhere 5, 6, 7 going, that these drivers realize that, okay, a lot of people have closed from their various works and they are in need to rush home. It is then that the drivers take it as an opportunity to rob from the people. So, for example, if one is supposed to pay 10 cedis from Accra to, let's say, West Hills Mall, the person can end up paying either 20 cedis or 25 cedis instead of 10 cedis. Because the drivers once again think the ordinary Ghanaian or Ghanaians are in need. And that they think is an advantage for them, it's an opportunity for them to rob. And at the end of the day, you can see the stress in the face of these people. I mean, these passengers who at the end of the day become victims for these guys. But the saddest thing is they have no option. It's like you would just talk, and at the end of the day, nothing will happen. You only have no choice than to, just pay and have your way out. Because at the end of the day, some people close from work and they need to rush to the house to take care of their kids. So most of them have no choice than to fall for this. Whereas those who have the time to wait have to also wait until it gets to somewhere in the night, when the drivers once again sees that, oh, okay, now there are less people, so we can operate under the normal, fees. And it saddens always my heart most often because none is concerned when it comes to protecting the interest or protecting the average Ghanaian. For example, whenever there are increase in prices of goods, the ordinary Ghanaian is left to suffer the consequences. There is nothing like effective price controlling measures. And happenings like this always connect me back in the times of military government. For example, in the times of J.J. Rawlings. Because I personally don't think these things would have happened in the times of J.J. Rawlings. Never. We all remember the times of Kalabule.
Became known as Kalabule. Kalabule essentially meant fraud, and it entailed trying to make excessive profits. Kalabule also meant using political clout to gain an unfair advantage in Ghanaian society.
Shall we call it a balanced society in every respect?
And now, a year later, of the handover to civilian rule, how does the country measure up those original ideals?
As far as the prices of food items are concerned, it's shot up again, you know. It's even worse than it was before we came in. I'm not asking to be an agricultural minister or anything like this. You can keep me in the forces, but, I mean, detach me to mobilize the people all over the place. I mean, they say a hungry man is an angry man. The least you and I can do is to do something about their stomachs, you know, and you don't seem to see the priority. Now it's catching up with them.
Is it just... The main aim of Jerry Rawlings and the AFRC was to stamp out kalabule, an all too common Ghanaian word for profiteering, racketeering and corruption. Market women were accused of hoarding food in order to force up black market prices. Kalabule was checked.
The soldiers went into the streets and the markets to see to it that goods were being sold for controlled prices that had been gazetted by the government. During this whole time, Ghana was officially under a regime of prices fixed and controlled by the government. But with shortages and inflation, this system had broken down. As the army was moving about and visiting these various marketplaces, excited queues of people formed at the shops as they watched the traders who had hoarded and overpriced their goods being beaten up by the soldiers and sent into the streets with a sign around their neck saying, "I am a chief of Kalabule."
For a time, but not for long. The new civilian government has only been in power for 9 months, but inflation is around 100% and food is being sold at well over recommended prices. At this market in Accra, the market women were asking 4 cedis, about 75p or the lowest minimum day's wage, for a few tomatoes or a bunch of bananas. A small bag of rice was going for 600 cedis, compared to the recommended price of 120. A tin of milk was going for 5 cedis instead of 0.75, and sardines for 8 instead of 1.6. And this in a country where the average wage is 200 cedis, just over £30 a month.
I won't even take you far. Let's see what Ibrahim Traore is doing in the lives of Burkina Faso, where this man is very particular about the general welfare of the people, about the survival state of the people, because you can never build a nation with hungry people. And so for every certain government to perform or to build the nation, first you must prioritize the basic needs of the people. Let the people have comfort in their zones. Then they can give you all the support. Like for example, once again, what is happening in Burkina Faso, the people have given their massive support to Ibrahim Traore. Why? Because he always put the interest of the people first. For example, in the surviving state, like I said, recently we all heard or saw the message that Ibrahim Traore put across, that those who have been buying grains from the country, from Burkina Faso, should put an end to it, because he is building factories that at the end of the day, even if the farmers are willing to sell it out, he will rather buy it, because he is trying as much as possible to harbor enough food for his people. For me, it doesn't really matter how one takes or acquires power, but rather how the person uses it after he is done taking over. Because sometimes one needs to play it rough to get it right. Like I said in the beginning of this video, this is the special thing that I've spotted about military government. That is, they hold dearly the welfare or the interest of the people after taking over. At point of correction, I am not endorsing those who acquire power through illegal means. This isn't it in Africa. We talk about anything that has or got something to do with Africans. Please consider subscribing if this is your first time over here. And then again, feel free to express yourself at the comment section. Your opinions and views are warmly welcome.
In the 1990s, Ghana's economy was one of the best performing in Africa. In 1992, Rawlings was elected president. He went on to win a second term 4 years later. The two main candidates in next month's presidential election have suspended campaigning to honour the man they regard as the driving force